All right, I want to talk about the 234 co-main, the UFC 234 co-main, Israel Adesanya versus Anderson Silva. I know Kelvin Gastelum and Robert Whittaker are fighting in the main event, but I truly think most people are going to be tuning in for this fight for the co-main to watch Anderson Silva and Israel Adesanya. I mean, a lot of people are actually comparing Anderson Silva to someone like Chuck Liddell, which if you look at his last fight against Tito Ortiz, when he was hitting mitts, it looked like it was his first day in the gym and he was just learning how to throw a straight right and to throw a jab and to throw a hook. And, he just didn't look clean. He didn't look sharp. Anytime you look at Anderson Silva training, warming up, whatever the case may be, that man is on point. He's always very sharp. He's always very technical. And he always throws his punches correctly. He's never laissez-faire when he's training and when he's warming up. You can tell that the man is a killer, and still a killer to this day. I think he's in his mid-40s, and the man still fights like he did when he was in his early 30s. He's a beast, but I truly think Israel Adesanya is just a different animal. Like Joe Rogan said, the kid is the truth. He's bringing it to every fight. He knows what the crowd wants to see, and he delivers. He knocks people out. He gets finishes, which is why people pay big money to come watch the UFC. I mean, that's what people want to see. I truly hope Anderson doesn't pull guard in this fight. I feel like there will be a lot of people that are let down by that. I'm sure it'll still be a great fight, but I do think that's one of the only ways Anderson Silva wins this fight, is if he pulls guard, gets Israel on the ground, tests his ability there. We haven't truly seen how good he is on the ground yet. We just know he's an absolute killer of the striker. I truly haven't seen this much potential in someone since Conor McGregor came into the UFC, and we all know how much he's done for the sport and how much he's propelled the sport into the mainstream. So I hope this fight stays standing. I truly think Israel's going to pull it out. I have a lot of hope for this guy, and I know a lot of other commentators or whatever you want to call us are also looking out for this guy to be the next big star, and I truly think he will be. If he gets past Anderson Silva, which again, I think he will. I think he's going to put him out. He'll probably start picking him apart and figuring him out by the end of the first, beginning of the second, and then I think it's going to be a TKO by round 3. I want to say KO, but we're still talking about Anderson Silva here. We got to give the man his props. He's earned that respect. I don't think anyone would ever bet on Anderson Silva getting knocked out. It just doesn't happen. He's too quick. He's too powerful. He flows so well in the ring. It's like painting a picture, or it's like art watching him fight. But it's also like that with Israel Adesanya as well. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm ready to see it. I know a lot of people are going to be watching this fight, and if he wins, I think Israel, there's no stopping the train. I feel like it can kind of be derailed still at this point. He doesn't have a huge hype train behind him. I mean, don't get me wrong, people are hyping him up, but it can still kind of fall off. He's too early. He can't be like McGregor and lose a fight to Khabib in dramatic fashion, honestly, and still stick around and still be the main star in the sport. But I do feel like, again, if he pulls out this win, Israel will be the #1 star in the sport, other than McGregor. I think he'll be competing. He won't be making as much money because he just hasn't marketed himself that much yet. Either way, as far as a prediction, again, I think Israel's going to take it in the third. I think it's going to be TKO. He'll start picking him apart by the end of the first or beginning of the second. As long as he doesn't let Anderson Silva pull guard or get him on the ground, I think he wins this fight. I can't wait to watch it. I know a lot of other people are watching this fight to see kind of how the sport's going to be shaped in the future. It has a lot of pull on what happens in the UFC in the future. I mean, if we can have a star like Israel Adesanya pop up and propel this sport even more, it can't be anything but good for the sport and good for the fans who have always watched, the hardcore fans, if you want to call them that. It just gives us another entertainment source, and it's something that I feel like the UFC is really going to get behind. If he takes out Silva, who's again is a GOAT, the man's got it made, period. But yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to kind of chime in on 234. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Anderson Silva going around, how he's probably not going to win the fight. People are already counting him out, but you just can't do that with Anderson Silva. He's a beast. He's been in this game for years. He knows the ins and outs of every single fight he watches. He can pick apart every single mistake he's made in the past, and he does that after every fight. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great fight to watch. I feel like people are definitely going to get their money's worth. It's kind of a weak card other than the main and the co-main. But again, it's still the UFC. It's still going to be a great event. And I feel like we'll be surprised. There's a lot of up-and-coming fighters on the card. So it's going to be a great fight to watch and a great night of fights to watch. But I'm going to be focusing on Adesanya versus Silva, and I feel like a lot of other people are too.